Hi everyone, my name is Lisa. Welcome to my booktube channel called Lisa in Bookland. As you might be able to tell from the name of this video, this is the Booktube Newbie tag. I'm new to booktube, though I've been watching and commenting other people's videos for a long time, and I'm very excited to start off this new project that I've been putting off for way too long really. So my plan at the moment is one video a week, and when I get a bit more used to YouTube I might try and increase that. So let's get started. So before I get into the tag, I might just give a little bit about myself first. So I'm from the west of Ireland, if you can't tell from my accent. Most people say that they can. I love to read, obviously, because I'm here, and I have done ever since I can remember really. So on to the questions. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? So like I said, I love to watch booktube and I'd like to be a little bit more involved in the community. You do get involved a little bit as a commenter, but I suppose you can only give so much, and I'd really like to be able to interact with people a little bit more like you do when you're actually creating content. So I actually don't know that many other readers as well in like real life, so it'll be nice to have a captive audience to talk about books with and be able to share my thoughts on what I've been reading. What I'm also really looking forward to is getting involved in readathons, especially the likes of Jane Austen July, which I have participated in the last few years, but obviously not making content, just reading along and watching other people's videos. So that's an aspect of booktube that I'm really looking forward to be able to make TBRs and wrap-ups and other kind of content. That'll be great. So I'm lucky enough to still be working from home, which does give me a little bit more control over my time, so I'm hoping that this will be a good time to keep going with the videos. So the second question is, what are some fun or unique things that you can bring to booktube? Lord, that's a bit of a pressure question for a first video, but I suppose the answer is just my own enjoyment of books, which I know isn't new, but booktube is already such a diverse place filled with lovely people, so I'm just hoping I'll be able to add to that, and the more the merrier, I suppose. So the next question is, what are you most looking forward to? I suppose I skipped ahead with this a little bit in the first question, in that what I'm probably most looking forward to is readathons. So I know the Irish readathon will be coming up in March, which I'll be looking forward to, as well as Jane Austen July, and any other ones that come up really. I'll be looking forward to participating in those when I can. So question 4 is, why do you read? Like everyone else says, it's the escapism and stories. I do read some non-fiction, but most of the non-fiction I read is history, and I think I like history really because of the stories, so it's probably all the same. And that's what we all started off reading for as children most of the time, I'd say. So that's why I still read. I grew up in and still do live in quite a rural area. There wasn't a lot of other children to play with in the school holidays or anything back then, when we used to have months and months of free time during the summer. I used to read as well as making jigsaws and that. I suppose an interesting anecdote is one of my friends moved from a city area to a more rural area, and when they moved down they started to read, whereas they hadn't really before, because there just isn't as much opportunities to play with other kids and have more group activities, I suppose, down the country. So that's probably just me my whole life. So the next question is, what book or series got you into reading? So probably a lot of people's answer for this is Harry Potter, and as much as I have enjoyed those books, they're still up here looking quite faded and battered. I came to them quite late. Books I really remember reading when I was younger is a lot of Enid Blyton, so I really liked the Malory Towers series and St Clare's. I actually always wanted to go to boarding school, unfortunately didn't get that chance, probably better off. But I also liked Animal Ark. I don't know if anybody else remembered those books, but they were one of my real introductions to independent reading, I suppose. How I used to get books when I was younger is through the mobile library, which strangely only came to the town where I live on a Tuesday morning. So I used to obviously be at school, so my mum would pick up the books for me, and I used to get lots of books about animals because that's the books that she would have liked to read. So yeah, that was my introduction to reading. Question 6 is, what question would you like to ask your favourite booktubers? Um, I don't know really. Like, I suppose it would be, how do they come up with such great ideas? And for videos, especially readathons and things, they're so good at organising them and coming up with prompts and that. So just how they come up with all those ideas, they're such creative people. And I'm especially always amazed by the people that have like backgrounds in English literature, because that's not something I have. I'm from a science background myself, not that you'd be able to tell that from my reading at the moment. So I do love getting that perspective from people, and people that are involved in the publishing world as well. Like, before watching Booktube, that's just not something you'd really think about, so it's great to hear all about that, and I'm always just nosy about people's jobs anyways, so it's interesting to hear about that side of things. I also love hearing about booktubers that also write, because they're just such inspiring people as well. So question 7 is, what challenge do you think starting a booktube channel will be hardest to overcome? So like most people, I suppose time for filming. Like I said, I'm going to start with one video a week, as that the weeks really do fly past, and I do really want to make it work, so I'm hoping I'll be able to work it in and manage with that to start with at least. Also, a bit of a different one, getting out books to actually film videos when they're not at the top of my shelves. As you might be able to tell from the chaos behind me, I outgrew my bookshelves a long time ago, so they're not organised in any kind of rhyme or reason that would make sense, just by size most of the time. This bookshelf isn't too bad, but the one behind it is much worse. So they're just filled in like a game of Tetris. Project getting my own place and more bookshelves is in progress, but it'll be a while, so I can't wait until I will have more space to organise my books better like other people do. But originally I'd been putting off starting this channel, but eventually I just decided that it was fine and I'll just work around it, so that's fine. You just won't see the floor, which I'm sure will be strewn with books. That's grand. Finally, my internet speed is not good. It's very bad, so I'm hoping I'll be able to work with that. It'll just take me a while to upload videos, but that's just a technical challenge I'll have to overcome, I suppose. So question 8 is, when did you start reading? I can't really remember when I started off at the very start. My parents aren't really bookish people, so I don't remember a lot of books being read to me when I was younger or anything. However, definitely when I started school, in probably like first or second class, definitely I can remember always having a book with me and reading. Do you know, when you had your assigned work done, or when I arrived in the morning and the class hadn't started yet. And I really kept going after that, apart from maybe a break from about Leaving Cert, which is our main exams in Ireland before going to college, and then during college as well. You know, when you have a part-time job in college to juggle, I didn't get that much reading done. But as I said, once I finished college, I didn't drive yet, so I had a lot of time on buses and waiting around and long commutes, so I really scaled up my reading after that. Question 9 is, where do you read? At the moment, I read mostly at home on the couch or in bed before I go to sleep at night on my e-reader. I also like just going out to cafes as a little treat. I'll read then. I read when I'm eating my dinner, so I'll read wherever and whenever, I suppose. In waiting rooms, I'll always have a book with me. I'll never leave the house without a book of some kind. I like listening to audiobooks when I'm doing housework or going for a walk, or when I'm driving. So yeah, there's never not a good time to read. So question 10 is, what kind of books do you like to read? So my favourite kind of books definitely are historical fiction. It's something I've always liked, but in the last few years I've really discovered historical fiction as a genre in itself. I also like to read classics, any kind of general fiction. I also like reading non-fiction, mostly history, mostly, it has to be admitted, Irish and British history. Which is probably related to my love of historical fiction as well. That's the great thing I think about historical fiction, is when you find historical fiction that you've enjoyed, you can just go and just read non-fiction. Like, there's more or less an unlimited amount on popular topics at least, and you can really get into that world. So that's why I love focusing on specific areas and really getting to know a lot about one thing. Specifically, and this is a weird one, in the last 2 years I've really gotten into books about the sea and ships. I would read more or less anything with a ship on the cover, and it's actually a bit ridiculous. When I counted up last year, I think over 50 of the books I'd read had something to do with ships, which is, you know, that's a bit overkill and probably not healthy, so I'll try and scale that a little bit, but expect to see them still coming up. There's just something about I don't know, the enclosed nature of men on a ship in the 19th century and travelling all over the world. Obviously I wouldn't condone the reasons behind why they were sending the ships everywhere, but it's no doubt it makes a very exciting read, especially if you get into more of the Arctic stuff. One of the best books I read last year was The Terror by Dan Simmons. Oh, so exciting. So yeah. It probably started really when I went over to England and drove around a lot of the sites in England that were related to Jane Austen. I called it the Jane Austen road trip, and it was such a good holiday. But because I was quite nearby and I'd always kind of had this passing interest in ships, I decided I'd go to Portsmouth and go to the historic dockyard there, and I went and saw the HMS Victory and the HMS Warrior, and I just thought that they were the coolest things I'd ever seen. It was just like the crew had just walked out. They were so well preserved, and I know a lot of work goes into it, but I just thought they were so interesting. And then I came back and read all of the Aubery-Maturin series. I'd seen them in shops, loved the covers, never bought them, was a bit intimidated, and they are hard reading at sometimes but so rewarding. Anyways, that was a bit of a tangent. I do like to read books about ships, suffice to say. So thanks so much for watching my first video, the Booktube Newbie tag. I tag anyone that's new to Booktube, please say hi, and yeah, I hope to be interacting with people more under this new username. So my previous username that I used to use when I was watching Booktube was Lisa60932. It was one of those usernames that you just created just to watch, not expecting that you'll ever find a community like Booktube that you'll want to get involved in. So hello to everyone that I've been watching, if you've managed to find my video. So yeah, thanks very much, and I'll see you again next Thursday.